Nancy Pelosi's January 6th commission kicked off yesterday with a star performance from one of the two liberal Republicans who agreed to sit on the otherwise entirely Democrat panel. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Adam Kinzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to my colleagues on the committee. Thank you to our witnesses. I never expected today to be quite as emotional for me as it has been. I've talked to a number of you and gotten to know you. I think it's important to tell you right now, though, you guys may individually feel a little broken. You guys all talk about the effects you have to deal with, and you talk about the impact of that day. But you guys won. You guys held. Democracies are not defined by our bad days. We're defined by how we come back from bad days, how we take accountability for that. And for all the overheated rhetoric surrounding this committee, our mission is very simple. It's to find the truth, and it's to ensure accountability.
Encore! Encore, Mr. I've got to wipe a tear from my eye. For reaction to Kinzinger's whining, we turn, as usual, to Don Corleone.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you? Is this how you turn down a Hollywood Pinocchio that cries like a woman? What can I do? What can I do? What is that nonsense? Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Kinzinger's statements were ridiculous. But his womanish clown show was the role to which court jester conservatives such as he are best suited in our national drama. Today, you guys, Adam Kinzinger. Really, he didn't surprise anyone with his performance, least of all himself. I'm sure he was practicing that one in the mirror like any ham actor about to get the hook. But it is worth pointing out that not only were the tears preposterous, but the statements that he made were preposterous as well. He said that the Capitol incident in January was an insurrection. It was not an insurrection. The way that we know, in part, that this was not, or here's some evidence that this was not an insurrection. The weight of the federal government right now is trying to prosecute anyone who was in any way involved in that day. It's not like BLM where they all get off the hook, or most of them get off the hook. Everyone is trying to prosecute these guys to the fullest extent of the law, and yet no one is being charged with seditious conspiracy. No one is being charged with the crimes associated with insurrection. They're being charged with criminal trespassing. They're being charged with all sorts of things like property damage, theft, but they're not being charged with sedition because the feds can't prove that it was an insurrection because it wasn't. It was a deadly insurrection. Well, it was deadly. One person was killed in the violence of that day. It was a Trump supporter. It was one of the people who went into the Capitol. So I get, if you're saying that it was a deadly insurrection and that's a terrible thing, then you should be grilling the cops that you otherwise were praising all day. Because a cop killed a Trump supporter. That was the only, I know that we were told in the aftermath by a bunch of liars in the establishment media and in the establishment, the political establishment like Adam Kinzinger and all of the Democrats. We were told that Officer Brian Sicknick was killed because someone threw a fire extinguisher at his head. That just wasn't true. That was completely made up. He died of natural causes days later. That's what happened. No one else died. Another person died of a drug overdose. Other people died of natural causes. The only person who died in political violence was one of the pro-Trump demonstrators. Okay. This was the worst attack on our democracy since 1812. The political commentator Yossi Gestetner had a wonderful thread on this the other day. You probably didn't see it on Twitter because I imagine it was suppressed. He pointed out that the January 6th insurrection, that involved some damage to the Capitol, no question about it. There have been other attacks on the Capitol. It wasn't the worst one since 1812. This is just from his list, from Yossi's list. 1954, 5 congressmen were wounded when 4 terrorists opened fire in the visitors area. President Carter later commuted their sentences or reduced their sentences. So that seems worse than January 6th, doesn't it? 1971, a bomb planted by a group or person protesting the Vietnam War, so this would have been a left-winger, exploded in the Senate wing of the Capitol, caused extensive damage, thankfully no injuries. That seems worse than January 6th. November 7th, 1983, an explosion tore through the second floor of the Capitol's north wing. The device blew the door off of Democrat leader Robert Byrd's office. Seems worse than January 6th. 1998, two Capitol police officers, Jacob Chestnut Jr. and John Gibson, died in the line of duty because an armed assailant stormed past the Capitol security checkpoint and he made it into the building where he was shot. Seems worse than January 6th. Before midnight in 1915, police responded to the Capitol where an explosion caused huge damage to the Senate wing. Then in October of 2018, hundreds of leftists stormed the U.S. Senate building during the work of confirming a Supreme Court justice. 302 people were arrested by Capitol Hill police. No people were arrested by the federal government. And then last year, in the summer of hate in 2020, when BLM was burning down the country, the president and his family were rushed to the White House bunker as insurrectionists. You got to use the term, right? If you're going to use the term for the horn guys, certainly you need to use the term for the people who stormed the White House, scaled the fence, and 60 Secret Service agents were wounded in the process, 11 of them needing hospitalization for defending the White House. The horn guy comes in, the smiley guy steals Pelosi's podium. That was the worst insurrection in history. But just months prior, people stormed the White House and wounded 60 Secret Service agents, 11 of them sent to the hospital. That was nothing. That truly, you probably didn't even hear about that. Or you heard very little, or all you heard from the media were people making fun of President Trump for going into the bunker. So I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I never want to hear another word about January 6th. It's compared to other attacks that you've never even heard of. They didn't even make the news, really, or they don't remain in the public consciousness. What happened on January 6th was relatively insignificant. Hey, I'm glad you liked that clip. It warms my heart. Now you get the whole show. You can get the whole show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. The show is The Michael Knowles Show. The episode is the January 6th Commission Clown Show. Head on. Don't be an Adam Kinzinger. Head on over there and do it right now. You can also get my book, Speechless: Controlling Words, Controlling Minds. See you next time.